Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, helping you to live in tune with the natural cycles of the moon. This is your astrology horoscope for the new moon in Gemini, which occurs on Monday, May 30th, 2022 at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time and 4:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think this new moon in Gemini is really all about is about us adapting to a new way of going about life now that we're in a new and different situation. And it's a new way of doing life that's slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant, and more in tune with our value systems, which is very, very good. However, it's also about us realizing that even though we are getting that new approach, our physical environment doesn't align. Our relationships and money aren't aligned with this new approach, and that now we need to fix it. And now we need to have some conversations with people, I think, in order to bridge the gap here and bring more things together that could be a bit uncomfortable, that we're going to need to do some thinking about in order to figure out how to make happen. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because I'm going to hop into it right now. In order to get started though, what I like to do first is to just place on the chart what it is that I'm going to be referring to in this video so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the new moon in Gemini. As a result, I have adjusted this chart accordingly to be for the new moon. I know that this chart is for the new moon because we've got the sun and the moon here together at the same degree in the same sign. And when that happens, that is a new moon. Okay, what are new moons all about? New moons are all about new energy, new beginnings, and fresh starts. Here, what is Gemini, the sign that the new moon is in? Well, a few things that I'll say about Gemini. Gemini is a lot about, is a mutable sign, which makes it a lot about adapting to something and making it more familiar. So what does that mean to me? Well, one of the things it means to me is that this new moon in Gemini is all about us getting some kind of new energy here in order to adapt to something and make it more familiar. What else do I want to say here? Not only that, but Gemini to me also has to do with thinking and talking, being a Mercury ruled sign, especially too because thinking and talking does help us adapt to something here and make it more familiar as well. So not only is this new moon in Gemini about us adapting to something, which I'll tell you what that is in a minute, and making it more familiar, but it's also about us doing a lot of thinking and talking here so that we can do that and so that we can bring that together. Not only that, but Gemini, again, being Mercury ruled, is also about learning things. It's a very curious sign, likes to learn, likes to gather information, which again also helps with adapting to something and making it more familiar. So not only at this new moon in Gemini are we doing that, adapting to something, making it more familiar by doing a lot of thinking and talking about it, but also by gathering more information here about whatever we're adapting to and learning as much about it as we can. Okay, not only that, other things that I want to note too is that Gemini is an air sign. Air signs are by their nature less emotional and more in the mind here. So what that means to me is that not only are we trying to adapt to something and make it more familiar at this time by thinking and talking about it and learning about it and gathering more information here, but we're also trying to do so and getting a boost to do so in a less emotional way where we're not so uppity, or frustrated about this, but where we have more of a cool head about these things as we move forward. Not only that, but I do consider Gemini to be a playful sign, here being one of the first signs of the zodiac here, being mutable, having to do with spring, the last sign of spring. So not only do I believe that this new moon is about us getting some kind of boost here to adapt to something, make it familiar, think and talk and learn everything about it that we can in order for that to happen without the emotions, without the stress here. But I think we're also trying to have fun with it. It's supposed to be fun, right? When you're learning something, when you're getting used to it. So I think we're also trying to have fun with it here as well. Anything else that I want to say? Sure. Maybe a few other thoughts that I'll give you too. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is known as the messenger of the gods, right? According to the Greek and Roman mythology that the zodiac is based on as well. And sharing messages, from a higher power. So what that means to me is that a big thing here that we're trying to adapt to and we're trying to make more familiar and learn about and think about here and talk about in a less emotional way and have more fun with is messages from God, messages from a higher power. We're really trying to adapt to those and get more familiar with that. Another thing that I want to note about the sign of Gemini as well, which maybe will come into play much later in the video, is that Gemini too rules the hands. All the signs rule body parts. Gemini has to do with the hands here too. And to me, hands adjust things, all of that. So what that means to me is that not only at this new moon are we getting a big boost here to adapt and to adjust to something, which I really think are messages that we recently received from Spirit here, and to learn about it and gather more information about it and talk and think about it here in a less emotional, less stressful way, and to have fun with it. But I think we're also, once we align with Spirit here, trying to make adjustments in the physical reality, if you will, in our physical world, with things that we can touch in order to align with Spirit's messages and with the things that it is that we are adapting to here as we move forward. Another thing I need to note, I do believe that a part of the things we're going to be adjusting with our hands is money. I do think that's involved with a lot of other things going on, but I also think relationships have something to do with it. Here, I do, in my opinion, see Gemini as a relationship sign, especially because Gemini is ruled by the twins, again, according to the mythology of which the signs are based on here. And Gemini is the only sign ruled by two people. The rest of them have animals or one person. So I think that that's also another thing that I want to note is that a lot of the things that we're adjusting and thinking through probably do involve, yes, money, which I'll get into in a minute, but definitely something with people that we're trying to work through and align as well as we move forward. Okay, and I think that's all of the big things that I want to say now for the time being about this new moon in Gemini. Before I move forward, though, to give you more specifics here about those themes and how they're going to play out as they move forward, I do just want to go backwards in time for a minute before I move onwards. And I want to go backwards in time to give you more of the context of like how we got here and of why those themes that I just described are now coming up in order to be felt, experienced, lived through, etc. And to do that, I'm going to go way back in time to catch you up to now. And I'm going to give you the long version because I think there's something I'm going to say later on in this video that I'm going to need something in the long version here for. So I'm going to give you the long version. If you would like to watch that, obviously feel free to do so. If you don't want to watch the context, then you can just skip it. I put the timestamps. I'll put the timestamps here and the chapters in the video so that you can easily move onwards. But I'm going to hop into it now. In order to give you the context of this new moon, I'm going to go back to January to April here of 2020. At that time, here, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter came conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, which is a very rare alignment. Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct about every 35 years, and who knows where Jupiter is most of that time. So it's a rare alignment. What was that alignment all about? Well, in my opinion, it was about us realizing that we needed to make big Jupiter change Pluto and the structure of our lives, Saturn and Capricorn, because the way that we'd been living life prior to that point and for many decades prior was no longer in alignment, I think, with who we are, and was no longer good for us or making us happy. Okay, so I think that's what happened there. But even though in January to April of 2020, we realized something's not right in our life here that we really need to change in a big way, I do not think we actually made the change yet. I think we kind of waited and kind of hesitated on it until later that year, Libra season, about October of 2020. I believe there was a Mercury-Mars retrograde, both like right around that time. And I believe what we realized and what happened in October of 2020 is that there was some event that motivated, inspired, or tricked us into actually doing the things that in January to April of 2020, we knew that we needed to do. And because finally something happened in October 2020 to motivate, trick, inspire, push us into what we knew we needed to do many months earlier, we then, in December of that same year, 2020, at a solar eclipse in Sagittarius, here finally started to make the moves to end an old chapter of our life that we no longer liked, that was no longer working for us, so that we could move forward. Okay, that then leads me now to the beginning of 2021. I think I'm going to chunk it. January 2021 to June 2021, right about here. Which was a new moon in Capricorn to a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. What was that about? Well, that was about us here trying to embark on a new and better chapter in life, away from these old hard things that we didn't like, that had been keeping us stuck for many years prior. And it was us having difficulty embarking on new experiences. And it was us having difficulty embarking on a new and better chapter in life because there were a lot of old things. I think emotions, mindsets, but especially physical things in our life, jobs, relationships, people that we hadn't fully cut out that were really preventing us from moving forward. So I think what we did in between January to June of 2021 is that we finally started to cut out here the physical things in particular that were keeping us stuck with the relationships and money here, so that we can leave those old things behind and move on. And I think that in June of 2021, we did start to finally feel much better. Like we had dropped a lot of dead weight that was no longer serving us here. But even though we felt we're feeling good, in June of 2021, we ran into another issue that came from that time now to October of 2021. What was that issue? Well, in between June and October, we realized we were thankful. We cut out a lot of this old stuff in our life that was no longer working for us. But even though we had cut out a lot of that old stuff, the emotional residue still lingered. We still had a lot of old emotions, a lot of old baggage, a lot of old habits and mindsets here that were basically keeping us stuck and recreating the same old things we had just gotten rid of over and over again, now in a new experience, and now with different people, different places, and different things. That was a bit difficult for us, and also very, very, very uncomfortable here that we had to address. And I do believe that we started to address those things here around October, the old mindsets and beliefs that were recreating the same problems. And I believe we did do that. And because we did that, we then got to the next new moon, which was, I believe, in November of 2021. It was here in Scorpio. And at that new moon in Scorpio, we then started to finally feel more transformed, not just in a physical way without these old things, but also internally within our emotions and a lot of our beliefs and a lot of our mindsets. And we felt more changed in a positive way now, to allow us more freedom to move forward in a new and better experience of life more completely, without constantly being dragged backwards into these old things. And I think that was very, very, very good. But even though that was very good, I do believe that it started to happen a little too fast for us, that we started, to move forward a little too fast into these different experiences that I don't think we were quite ready for yet. And because it started to happen very fast, I think at the next significant moon phase, we had a full moon that same month here in Taurus. Full moon, lunar eclipse in Taurus that same month. What we realized then, November 2021, is that because things were happening too fast and it was a little too strong for us, we realized we needed to slow things down a bit. And we needed to slow things down a little bit so that we can make sure our head was on straight about them and about what we were doing next and whatever we were about to bring into our lives next, because whatever we were doing within the months prior to that wasn't working. Okay. And I think us slowing down in November of 2021 was very, very helpful, because at the next solar eclipse, which was in December, a month later here in Sagittarius, we finally started to get a lot of messages from our intuition, from spirit, from God, the divine, from the higher realms here, really giving us more clarity and more insight here about what our next steps needed to be in a much better way here, in order to make sure that the past didn't repeat and that we were moving on into different experiences. Okay, and because finally we were getting messages from spirit and slowing down about how best to proceed, we then got to January of this year, right? 2022, that's where we are. We finally got to January of this year, and in January of this year, we started to see more new and better situations come into being without a lot of the old baggage here, and bring more new things together, relationships, money, what have you, in order for us to move forward, which I did think was nice. But even though good things started to come together for us in January, by the time we got to the next new moon, which was a month later, in February of 2022, I think we realized that for as many new good things were coming together, there was still something from the past that was stuck. You know, that wasn't quite entirely like where we wanted it to be in order to move forward. And because of that, we then went to address a few more things from the past that were keeping us stuck, so that we can bring more things together, which I believe that it is that we did. And because of that, in March of 2022, we started to feel much better. Like finally now, more completely, the old could release and the new could come in. But even though we were feeling like the old could release and the new could come in March of 2022, I think there was still some fear, a lot of fear, maybe even some hesitancy to more fully bring more new things in here, because I think we were worried that chaos would ensue and that we'd get back in these old situations, rightfully so, if that had been the case. here, and that we wouldn't be able to protect ourselves if anything wrong would happen. So we had a little bit of a hesitation there that was difficult. And I think what we learned from that, especially as we got to the next new moon in Aries in April of 2022, was that we needed to create structures in our life that would allow us to protect ourselves and feel safe as we went about doing something new and different and embarking on a new and better chapter. And I believe we did that here, which then helped us to move forward here more completely in a new space with less hesitation now to bring more good things together that it is that we need, which then leads us to the next new moon, which was also in April, the last day of April, right around there of this year. It was a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. And what happened then is that we finally started to feel like, yes, a new and better chapter in life that we've been working towards since April of 2020 had actually arrived, and had arrived in a more real, tangible way that we could see, touch, and feel, which was very, very, very nice. But as we tried to move forward now on this new and better chapter in life to really make it more fertile, more abundant, or more workable, I think we ran into issues really taking it to the next level and making this new chapter in life the best it can be. That made us feel a little bit stuck. And because we had issues doing that, I believe God, spirit, soul, universe, intuition stepped in again 2 weeks later at that full moon lunar eclipse here in May. It must have been beginning sometime this month here. And God, spirit, soul, universe, intuition stepped in here to tell us what was keeping us stuck from moving forward in this new and better chapter in life here, and what needed to change. And I believe what spirit told us here was that a part of our issue with us moving forward is that we were trying to do the new and better chapter of life by an old way of behaving that maybe worked then, but no longer works now. And that the new way of behaving we need to adopt is one that's slower, more stable, more secure, and more in alignment with our value systems. And that once we did that, things would start to move forward again, and things would start to feel much better. And I think that that was a beautiful thing, right? It's always good when spirit speaks to give us insights here about what's not working and about how to fix them and about how to move forward. It was very, very good. But even though it was good, I think we had trouble between that lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago and now fully understanding spirit's message and fully getting on board with the fact that we need to go about things in a slower, more stable, and more secure way. That was a bit difficult. And because spirit was telling us something very good here about how we need to proceed, and we were having difficulty fully getting it, we now get this new moon in Gemini, of which this video is for, which helps us. We now get this new moon in Gemini, of which this video is for, helping us finally hear spirit's message and get the message, receive the message from spirit that we need to go slower, more stable, more secure in our lives with relationships and with money here. And they need to honor more of our value systems. Not only do we finally now, which at this new moon in Gemini, which this video is for, hear the message from spirit that we need to go slower, more stable, more secure with relationships and money, but we have an easier time, I think, of adapting to it and adjusting to it here, and of getting more used to and more familiar with it, and of having more fun with it without the stress and the emotions and the sadness, and of learning more of the ropes, thinking and talking to learn more of the ropes about what this new approach is here and how it works and how we can apply it. Okay, and that's it. Because that's all that's going on there. And that was quite a bit here. I'm just going to repeat that one more time without the astrological jargon so you can get a better sense of what I think is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on, the big picture of this new moon in Gemini is that we're now getting a big boost here to adapt more to spirit's messages, which is that we need to go about a new and better chapter in life in a new and better way that is slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant, and more in tune with our value systems. Okay, not only are we starting to adapt to that message here and make it more familiar, but I think we're also doing it in a less emotional way here and gathering more information about it and learning more about how we can use our hands to apply it to our situations as we move forward. Okay. Yes, that's what I think is going on. Okay, because that's it. In terms of the context, I'm now going to move I don't know if I want to say forward in time, but I'm now going to go into more specific detail about this new moon itself and how I believe that it will play out. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to go more into the specific aspects here that this new moon is making. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to start. I'm going to start maybe first by identifying the new moon just so you can see it here in the chart. Okay, there's the new moon in Gemini. The first alignment that I want to talk about is going to be a series of them. This new moon in Gemini is making a sextile over here to these three planets, Jupiter, Mars, and Chiron, which are all now in Aries. Got a lot of planets in Aries, which has recently occurred since Jupiter and Mars just entered it. What is this about? Well, the first thing that I want to say is that this is a good thing. This is a good thing. A sextile is very positive between planets and signs that get along or that are very complementary of each other. So this is very positive here and very, very helpful. In what way? Well, with the new moon in Gemini, which is what I described earlier in this video, we are starting to adapt more to Spirit's messages and hear more of Spirit's messages that we need to go about life in a slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant manner that honors more of our needs and values. And because we are doing that, because we are now hearing Spirit's messages and adapting to it, good things, something good is going on. What good thing is going on? Well, Aries is a fire sign. It's a lot about passion. It's a lot about passion. Jupiter is a lot about wisdom and understanding here, which is very, very good. Not only that, but Mars is involved, which is also about action here, since it's correlated to Aries and about feeling more capable. And Chiron is a lot about healing and releasing old painful situations. So to continue bringing it together, what that means to me is that at this new moon in Gemini, we are hearing more of Spirit's messages about a different approach to life and adapting to it. And that is helping us to feel better, feel more healed, feel like we can release old chapters in life, old behaviors, and feel like we are now more ready and more capable to do things in a different way here and to move forward in a new way. And we're getting more and more and more understanding about what that way would be and about what that would look like and about how we can maneuver more situations in our lives for that favor here, okay, which I do like a lot. Not only is that going on, but at the time of this new moon, since that's like the most significant alignment this new moon is making, we've also got Venus here in the sign of Taurus as well. The reason why I want to point that out is because not only is Mars now in Aries, its home sign where it really loves to be, but so is Venus in its home sign as well of Taurus where it really likes to be. We have two planets and two signs they love, which is very nice, giving us a very positive boost and positive help to move forward. What is that about? Well, Venus and Taurus, since they're both correlated to each other, do have a lot to do, I think, with grounding, since Taurus is an earth sign, with a lot about calmness and a lot about ease here, and also does have a lot to do with more confidence and stability here in ourselves. So what does that mean? And I should also note, it has to do with the new approach to life that it is that we're getting as well. So what does that continue to mean to me here as I move forward? It means to me that not only at this new moon in Gemini are we understanding more what Spirit is trying to tell us about a new way of going about life here, getting more excited about it and healing more and feeling more capable to maneuver it. But we're also, I think, feeling a sense of peace and calm about it in some kind of way. Peace and calm that this is what needs to happen here, and feeling more confident in order for us to move forward. And we're getting more in touch with what would bring us stability, what would bring us security, and what would really be in alignment with our value systems from here on out, which is good. Okay. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, which is going on at the time of this new moon as well, and isn't the most pleasant. That next alignment that I want to mention here, maybe I'll erase the chart in order to do that, is going to be Mercury, still retrograde here in Taurus, although stationing to go direct very soon, making a square over here to Saturn in Aquarius, stationing to go retrograde very soon after this. Okay, now this alignment is a bit of a difficult alignment here because it's a square, which is technically hard here. Saturn also can be a little bit difficult, and because Mercury is still retrograde as well, even though it's about to go direct soon. So this is a little bit of a challenging alignment here. What is the challenge? Well, Saturn does tend to block things and to restrict things or delay them, if you will. Aquarius is a lot about our future and freedom, and Mercury is a lot about our thought processes in a lot of ways, thinking just about things in general, but also because Mercury not only correlates to Gemini, but to Virgo, where we're going to have a first quarter moon in a week. It's also about thinking about things too in a more specific kind of way as well, because Virgo really cares about the details. So what does that mean to me? It means to me so far that we are in fact aligning with spirit. Okay, we are in fact aligning with spirit's messages, that we need to go about life in a slower, more stable, and more secure way that's more in alignment with our values now that a lot has changed and a lot has shifted. And now that we're in a different place, and we are feeling very excited about that, more ready for that, more confident and more capable to go about life in this stable and in this secure way that it is that we need. But even though we're feeling very, very, very good and we're getting the message about a slow and stable, secure way of life, we're still feeling blocked. And we're still feeling blocked, I think, from acting on this stable and secure way and from seeing a future with it, seeing a future doing things more stable, more secure, more in alignment with our needs and values here. Why do I think that we're blocked? I think that we're blocked from acting on this different approach to life that's more stable and secure, and from seeing a future with it, because I think we don't know the details of how we're going to make specifically our situations in our specific life or your specific life with relationships and money align, right? It's one thing to realize we need to go slower, more stable, and more secure about life, but it's another thing to realize how that's going to happen with a specific person, money situation in your life. It's a bit difficult, and I think that's the issue that we're running into here. I know I need to go slower, know to get more stable, more secure. I'm getting it. I'm excited about it. This is good, but how do I do that? Can I do that? What would that look like? I don't know. I don't know here. And I think that's making us, with the Mercury retrograde, confused, a little confused here. I think it's also making us a little bit uncertain of what to do next, lacking clarity here. Maybe also with the Aquarius influence, a little anxious, a little nervous, because our physical reality, our specifics of our situation do not align to the spiritual messages that we've been receiving and to something deep down in our heart and soul that we know needs to happen next. So I think that's a bit hard, creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance, if you will, or with the Gemini, two sides here. Part of ourselves and part of our wants to align with spirit, and another part of ourselves and lives isn't aligned with spirit here. That's hard. Not only are we feeling that way, but sometimes the Aquarius too, it can be trapped. We're feeling a little bit trapped, because as long as we're living this dual life, as long as we're part of ourselves is in alignment with spirit and the different way of life we need, but the actual physical situation isn't. As long as there's something that's not aligned, we're feeling trapped by the physical not aligning with the spiritual here in the ways that we need. That I think is hard. Confusion, lack of clarity, anxiety, feeling trapped, feeling stuck. Not really that great here. Okay. So what is the advice? Then what is the advice to give you if this here is the situation that's going on? I think the advice that I want to give you here, especially after a new moon in Gemini, as we're leading up to a first quarter moon in Virgo, both Mercury ruled signs, while Mercury is about to go direct on like June 1st, 2nd, I think the advice that I want to give you is to not shy away from this dissonance, to not shy away from the fact that something doesn't align, and to not wallow in a corner, but to buckle down, if you will, to think more about it, and to talk more about it, and to gather more information about why this is the case, why our physical lives doesn't align now with these spiritual messages that it is that we're receiving here. And I think to figure out how to do it, how specifically to bridge the gap, how specifically to align our own relationships and money in our own lives with these insights that it is that we're getting. Okay. Because I do think that that's going to help. I think it's going to help. Okay. And to think and talk about these things in all the ways about what pieces will fit and how this will work out and what this means, because I think it's going to help. Okay, I think it's going to help even more information. I think it's going to help not only because we're in between two moon phases now that are both ruled by Mercury, while Mercury is about to go direct, but also too because Mercury is still very close to the North Node, not exactly in a conjunction with it, but very close to the North Node as well, which brings insight and revelation. And I think Mercury going direct can also bring clarity here as well. So that's what I want to say. The answer is not to shy away from it. It's to do more thinking and more talking in all the ways here, especially if you can do it in a lighthearted way with the Gemini influence, because that's going to lead to clarity when Mercury goes direct a few days from now. It's going to lead to a lot of clarity now about the issue, a lot of clarity about what is not in alignment in your physical reality with the spiritual message that you've been receiving and how to do it. And how to do it. You're going to get a plan. You're going to get a strategy, I think, of how to do it too. Not only that, but I think you're going to get more confidence with Venus now in Taurus and more courage with Mars now in Aries. More confidence and courage in order to do it, in order to fix what's not in alignment here and align the physical here more with the divine. Not only do I think when Mercury goes direct a few days after this, if you do the thinking and do the talking and try to put all the pieces together here, crack the code about what's off and how to fix it, do I think you're going to get clarity and a solution and courage and confidence? But I think too, you're also going to be able to make a decision. Saturn going retrograde. Saturn's about decisions. You're going to be able to make some kind of decision, I think, about how to do it, or need to make some kind of firm decision here in order to align things, which then with the Mars conjunct Jupiter is going to help you act. Mars acting, Aries acting, act in more effective ways in order to align with people, with money, to align the people and money to be in accordance with spirit, intuition here, and with this different approach that it is that we're now getting. Okay. And I think that's all I want to say for now about this new moon, because that's all I think that I want to say and the aspects at the moment that I want to cover. I'm now just going to repeat all of those things one more time without the astrological jargon to give you a better sense of what I think is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on here at this new moon in Gemini is that we're finally starting to adapt more and understand more what spirit has been trying to tell us lately, which is that we need to go about life in a slower, more stable and secure manner that's more resonant with our needs and with our value systems, which is making us feel very good, more confident, more capable, more excited about ourselves and our lives, with more understanding of what needs to happen here. But even though we are aligning with spirit and feeling very, very good about a lot of things about this new approach and more ready to embrace and embody it, there's still something about this new approach that we're unclear on. I think what we're unclear on is how exactly to take spirit's approach to life that's slower, more stable, and more secure, and apply it specifically to a certain person or people or a certain job or a certain money situation in our lives here. We're unsure of how to specifically do that, which I think is making us a bit confused here and uncertain, and it's making us feel a bit nervous and anxious and trapped, since our physical experience does not align now with the spiritual truth and the spiritual messages that it is that we're getting, which can be a bit difficult. But instead of us wallowing in this difficulty, I think we need to, and I think we actually are naturally going to think more and communicate more about this situation and about what's off and about why things don't align with spirit and about how we can do that. Because, and to think and talk in all the ways, to learn and to gather more information, because I believe that us really buckling down to think and talk more about this is going to give us, a few days after this new moon, clarity. Maybe unexpected clarity that it is that we need here about what's off and about how to fix it. Not only are we going to get clarity, but I think we're going to get clarity about our specific situation and what to do and what to say and how to do it, and a little bit more of a plan of action here about things, which is going to finally give us more of the courage and the confidence to make a more firm decision so that we can actually act, to now align these things, the material and the spiritual, more together here as we move forward, so that we're not all over the place here or living some kind of double life. Okay, and that's it. I think that's all that I want to say there. Okay. because that's all that I think I want to say in terms of the aspects, I now just like to say a few things about this energy, just kind of in a more conversational way, to give you some more thoughts or put it together in a different way that might help you to understand. So I want to do that now. I think the first thing that I want to say here is that there are two things going on, I believe, at this new moon in Gemini. The first thing that's going on here is that we are getting in alignment with spirit and our intuition and the divine and spirit's way of going about things, which is now that we need to go about life in a slower, more stable, and more secure way that's more resonant with our needs and our value systems. But even though we are realizing that our physical situations don't align, our physical situations with specific relationships, people, jobs, money in our life does not align to this truth that it is that we're now receiving, making us feel a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit uncertain. So I think that's the first thing that I want to say. What does that look like? Maybe now I want to give you an example of what would that look like. Well, what that would look like, maybe I'll start romantically, is just to give a few examples, is that intuitively in our heart and soul, we know we need to do all these keywords I've just said: slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, maybe I'll use self, more in tune with our value systems. We know that this is going on, in the ethers, above our head, in the intuition. But even though we know that, our relationships, or a relationship with a certain person in our life, John, Katie, who knows, whatever their name is, there's a certain relationship with a person in our life who does not match that. So there's this feeling of, I know I'm in a romantic relationship with someone. And I think a lot of you just got into new situations in between January to now of this year. I think a lot of you are like, I'm in a new romantic situation with someone. And I know I need to do it with John and Katie in a slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant kind of way that's resonant with my value systems. But the relationship is the opposite. Me and John, we've been going way too fast, too fast emotionally, too fast intimately, way too fast. There's no stability there. We don't see each other on a regular basis. It's all over the place. Here, it's too much, too unbalanced. Or if we do see someone on a regular basis, too much. Here, we're too dependent on each other, too codependent, too intertwined here. And I don't really even know if me and John or me and Katie have a similar value system. We seem to want different things in life. We seem to have different, I don't know. These don't seem to align. My experience with this romantic relationship is the opposite of what spirit is now telling me. It's not slow, it's not stable. And then there's confusion and lack of clarity and anxiety and nervousness. I feel trapped. I feel out of alignment. And if that's your situation, what this new moon in Gemini is really all about is about you doing the thinking to yourself to figure out here, how to align that. And the talking, if there's another person involved, the talking to them to see where they're at, to gather information to see where they're at, to see how you can align that, how you can retool the relationship to be these things: slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant, and more in tune with your value systems. Which for some of you is going to require you to just tweak the relationship a little bit, but for some of you is also going to require you to end the relationship as well, if these two don't match, okay? That you're going to get more clarity on when Mercury goes direct very soon after this new moon, okay? Another way that this could work, let's talk about, maybe I wanted to keep that up. Can I bring that back? Bring that back, yes. Another way that this could go is with money, okay? Because money is a big deal with the eclipses that we just had in Scorpio and Taurus, which are relationship signs. Scorpio is, but also have to do with money. So what's another way this could go? Well, maybe it's not a relationship thing. Maybe you don't have any John or Katie in your life. You're not dealing with them. Maybe it's just a money thing. Maybe there's a part of you that's been getting big messages from spirit lately that you need to go slower when it comes to spending money, and you need to save a little bit more here. And when you do spend money, it needs to be on things more value to you, or things that are necessities and not all this crazy stuff that you just want. Maybe you're getting messages like that: slower with money, more stable with money. Maybe I need to save money. Maybe I need that. But then when you actually take a look at your money situation, you realize my money's not like this at all. Yeah, Spirit's telling me I need to go slow with money. I need to save it. I need to stop spending on all this stuff. But I look at my bank account and money is going out like water and it's not coming in. And it's the total opposite. I'm spending all this stuff and I'm connecting with someone, a parent, a spouse who also spends like there's no tomorrow, so there can be this sense of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And a lot of confusion and frustration and anxiety and feeling trapped by that as well. That you're going to have to do some thinking and talking about here with yourself, here maybe with someone else that's involved, or maybe with an advisor here about like how you can do this, how you can bring this back, how you can bring this back into order and align it, which for some of you may require you to make some changes here, to make some adjustments with your finances so that you're saving money more or looking more for discounts or cultivating a new source of money in order to pick up the slack of some other places. Okay. That can also apply to a job situation. Okay, so let's say that some of you recently got new jobs. Because again, I think a lot of you stepped into new situations between January to now of this year. Okay, let's say that some of you got a new job or got a promotion at your job where now you're in charge here. Well, maybe what you're recently realizing now that you're in this new leadership position as of the past few weeks is that you need to take this new job or this promotion in this leadership position in these ways. You need to go about it slower because you've never been in this position before, maybe because the other people in the company don't know what they're doing, maybe because it's a new project here, that you also need to go about it in a more stable and secure way because that's the best way to move things forward, and to align things. Maybe you're getting a whole bunch of messages from spirit. That's the way that I need it to go. But what could happen at this new moon in Gemini is that you could then look at your job, the new job you've gotten or the promotion and the people you're now in charge of, and you could say, oh my gosh, it's not slow at all. We need to go slow. But the business and my boss and all these other people want to move things fast and they're all over the place and no one's on the same page and no one's communicating with each other and we don't have the resources that we need. Anxiety, frustration. And what you got to do with this new moon is you got to think about it and you got to talk about it. You got to think and talk here to your boss, to the other employees, to be like, help me out here, trying to learn. What is going on? How can we get this better? What do you think? What if we tried that? I'm toying with this idea. What do you think about that here? And that's going to help you in the days after this new moon get more clarity to be like, oh, this is how I need to go slower with the job. And this is where I need my coworkers or employees. This is how I need them to interface with me. And I'll inform them that this is what's going on, and that I've made the decision, and that this is how we're going to run the team or do this thing. Okay. Or you're going to have to do. Okay. This can also apply to a health situation, which I don't mention enough. Okay. But I should. This can also apply to a health situation. So what some of you could have recently realized over the course of the past few weeks, right, is that either you got a health problem, you need to go slower with it while you heal, and you need to make sure that you're getting health treatment in accordance with your values and not the values of society or of the industry or something else like that. Maybe you could realize that, and that you need to be more careful about the money and things like that that could come into it. Well, that could be very good. But then you could look at the way you're dealing with your health right now, and you could look at it and you could be like, I'm still not going slow enough with my health. It's still a new treatment every other week and every other day. And how can I assess what treatment's working when I'm doing so many treatments all at once? And you could still look at your health and be like, and now I'm getting medical treatment by a provider who doesn't even believe what I believe about health. And who's telling me to do all of these things with my health and my body that I don't believe I should be doing or need to be doing with my health and my body. You can be very frustrated, and you got to do thinking and maybe even talking to that health provider to figure out like, why are we not on the same page? In order to get clarity, which I think you will get, to make a decision to figure out how to adjust that in the ways that you need. Okay. Same could go with family. I think there are a lot of people, like family planning, starting a family, things like that, or have newborns or things like that, or maybe if they're older, maybe you've got older kids. Doesn't matter. I think there's a lot of stuff going on with family here. And I think what a lot of you have recently been realizing too is that I want to start a family. I want to create a stable environment for a family, or I already have a family and I want to make the environment even more stable. And I want to teach good values, with my family, or the values that I have to pass on, and things like that. And I want to make sure all our needs are met. Well, what could happen is that then at this new moon in Gemini, you could look at your family situation. You can be like, I'm not in a good place to start a family. My money's not where it needs to be to start a family. You know, the family that I currently have, we don't have a clear value system. We don't have all the same values on the same page here. And that can be confusing. How do I fix this? How do I get the money to start the family? How do I get the values? You know, that might need to happen. You need to do some thinking and talking about to gather information, which is going to give you more clarity and a plan and help you make a decision here about how to maneuver that more in the ways that it is that you need. Okay. So that's the way that this could play out. What else do I want to say? Another thing that I want to say is that this is meant to be a beautiful thing. This is meant to be a good thing. To align the physical with the spiritual here is meant to be like a beautiful thing to move forward. Not only do I think that this is meant to be a beautiful thing, but I think this is meant to be the most important thing we do all year. Like, this is the thing that's going to determine what the end of your year looks like. So if you do this, and if you do it well, to align your life together, you're going to have a fine August, September, and October, and I might even say a great one. You might have a great one. But if you don't do this, things are going to get challenging in August, September, October. So I think another thing I want to note is that this is supposed to be a very good thing, a very helpful thing, and it's extremely important for you to do and to not sleep on. Here, one of the most, another one, last moon's videos was one of the most important ones at the full moon in Scorpio. This is also one of the most important messages of this entire year. Okay. Another thing that I want to note is that even though this is supposed to be a good thing and is very, very important for you to do, sometimes when we are in alignment with ourselves and with spirit and with a higher power, it means we have to let people go who are not in alignment with that. Okay, who are not in alignment with that. What that also means too is that that could create arguments and disagreements, okay, especially with the Aries influence now that we have both Mars and Jupiter there. So another thing that I want to say is that this is an extremely important thing for you to do. And if you do it, it's going to be the best thing you've done all year. Okay, because it's going to set you up big time for success later on. But even though this is supposed to be a good thing, and I think one of the best things and most important things you can do all year, not everyone is going to agree with your decisions to align your life, and not everyone is going to like it. And some of you may have to surprise people with your decision that you make to slow things down and to stabilize them, especially people who have been resistant to Spirit's messages, because not everyone on the planet is going to get it, especially people who are not willing to go slow, stable, and more secure. And what I want to tell you for that is that that's okay. You can't hold yourself back because you're afraid of making someone else mad. You can't stop living your truth and living in alignment with yourself because someone else is upset about it, because you're going to hurt someone else, because someone else is stuck in unhealthy behaviors. You need to do you, and you need to get good with yourself, especially seeing how the end of the year is going to go. Okay, so I also want to make that clear. Okay, the reason why I feel that is because, again, of the influence that we have here of planets in Aries and in Taurus. And Aries and Taurus are not the relationship side of the zodiac. They're the me, myself, and I, the more selfish side of the zodiac. So I think that that's another thing that I want to note here. This is supposed to be good and beautiful, and it is the best and most powerful thing you will do all year, but that doesn't mean other people are going to agree with it. Some of you may be fine, but for some of you, there may be someone in your life who is against the decision that you're getting from Spirit, and you have to be okay with letting that person go or moving on in a different direction if they are not in alignment. And I should note with the Aries and the Taurus, because these are in good places. Mars and Venus, they're not exalted, they're at home in Aries and Taurus. So not only do I think some of you are going to need to not be afraid to let people go who are out of alignment with you and therefore out of alignment with Spirit, or out of alignment with Spirit and therefore out of alignment with you, but I think you're going to have the strength to do it. I think you're going to have the strength to do it anyways. I think a lot of you are going to have the courage to be like, okay, well, Spirit, my intuition is telling me to do this. Who cares what the other person says? You know, this is what I need to do to get right with me and to get right with God. Okay, so I want to note that here is another point. Okay, what might that look like? Maybe to give you another example, what might that look like? Well, I think a lot of you, maybe to give you a romantic example, I think a lot of you are coming to the realization at the end of this new moon in Gemini, or as more time goes on here, that maybe are in a specific romantic relationship that you need to slow down here and and that you need to move forward in a more stable and secure way without the intense emotion and maybe without seeing each other as much, without as much codependency. Well, that's a beautiful thing for you to realize that, especially if Spirit's telling you that, which I think Spirit is. But what could happen is that some of you, as we get further throughout this energy, could then go to the person you're in a relationship with and could say, hey person, hey John, I've been doing some thinking, I've been just like doing some thinking and like feeling things out. And like, I really like you, but I think we need to go slow this relationship down. I think we need to stop having sex as much. I think we need to maybe like see each other like a little bit less, not like too terribly less, just like a little bit less, or, because I just need to get myself in order and I just want to make sure we're doing this right. And you know what could happen? Well, in some examples, John, Katie, whoever it is, could be like, sure, that's fine. You want to go slow, stable? I get it. We did jump the gun. We did go a little bit fast. It's totally fine. I like you. I want to do this right with you. But there's another instance in which John or Katie could be like, what? Did you want to say that you want to stop having sex as much and you don't want to talk to me? I don't do relationships like that. I don't do relationships where I only talk to you, like 3 times a week. We need to be talking every day. And am I bad at sex? Was there an issue? So that's when there could be problems here. And your responsibility at this new moon is not for other people's feelings and how they handle the information. Your responsibility at this new moon is simply getting the message from Spirit and doing whatever you need to align there. And you need to be okay with pissing some people off in the process. It's not going to be true for everyone. Some of you are going to be connecting with people who are on the same page, who are on Spirit's page, who get it, who are going to be totally fine, but some of you aren't, and you need to be aware of that. Okay? But that's also another Gemini lesson, right? Gemini is an air sign, just says what it wants to say. And it's a masculine sign, not concerned about people's feelings, Gemini just says what it needs to say. So if you say something that you feel is good for you and God, with Gemini being the messenger of the gods, and someone else doesn't align, not your problem. Not your problem, especially not with Mars and Aries, not my problem. Sure, it's uncomfortable. Sure, maybe it's a little crappy to have a little tiff with them or whatever, but not your problem. You need to be okay with that. Right? Same with money, all right? So some of you could be trying to save money here. That's going on, and maybe you've got a business partner, or maybe you've got a spouse here that's got a spending problem and you want to save the money. Well, what could happen this time period is that some of you could tell your business partner, your spouse, hey, I've been doing some thinking here. We need to save money. There's something not right here. We're hemorrhaging money and this isn't working and the business isn't growing fast enough to, support this. And some of you could have a business partner or a spouse that's like, totally fine. We need to save money. We need to save. Okay, we'll cut spending here. We'll do this. But there's others of you that could be partnering with someone who's like saving money. No, we don't do that. You need to work harder. You need to work more. You need to do X, Y, Z, and that can create real issues. And you need to realize here that you can't hold yourself back and indulge in unhealthy behaviors that are out of alignment with Spirit here just to make other people happy. You got to find a way. You either got to cut these people out of your life here or find a way in order to do what Spirit is telling you as you move forward. Okay. Another thing that I want to note too about this new moon in Gemini is that some of you may think, well, let me just wait, because there is an energy of blind spots going around here. So another part of you may think, well, I don't want to piss someone off. Maybe I'll just wait. I don't want to piss someone off at this new moon. Maybe I'll just wait to do it later this year. Another thing I want to say, do not wait. This is the best month all year to do something important to you, to align with Spirit and to have conversations with people that need to be had. Do not put it off. Because if you wait to do it, August, September, October, when the North Node conjuncts Uranus and Taurus, which isn't pleasant, at a solar eclipse in Scorpio while Mars goes retrograde almost all at the end of the year, it's going to be a big issue. It's going to be a real big issue. And something that would have been really simple now is going to be a long, drawn out process that will take 6 months to figure out. You want to do it now in Gemini season, because even though some people may still be mad in Gemini season, Gemini's airy, Gemini's easy breezy, Gemini's less emotional, you want to do it now. Even if it's hard now to tell someone something, it's going to be harder later. This is the best time all year to do something important with relationships or with money that you've been wanting to do for a long time. Okay. Another thing that I want to note as well is that because this is what's going on here with the energy, some of you may have to a lot of you are going to have to go back to people and things that you just got in your life in January, January to April in order to retool and readjust those in a better way. A matter of fact, I think that's the majority of you, or you're going back to something that occurred in between January to April, right? Which is where we are, right? April, March, April. Yes, to retool that, to make that better. But there is a possibility that some of you here may be doing something new. Maybe there was something that you've been hesitating to do that you didn't do yet in January and April. There's another group of you who may be initiating something new that you didn't already do. And instead of fixing something, and you may be trying to initiate something new now from a healthier place. And I want to note that if that's you, if you're in alignment with spirit and the people you're involved with are in alignment with spirit, it should go just fine. If not, then there may be an issue, but it's fine. If you and the other person is not aligned with spirit, you don't want them anyways, and you can't hide your truth because you're afraid of how the other person is going to respond. Okay, to thine own self be true, to spirit be true. If your intuition is telling you something, do not ignore it. You have to go with it. Okay, another thing that I want to note as well, back to the January to April. I think a lot of you are retooling situations from January to April that you got yourself into. Why are we retooling those situations? Why are we retooling those situations if they're supposed to be done in a new way with the new chapter in life and are supposed to be a part of the better chapter in life? Why now are we retooling? Why weren't they done right? Well, I think part of the reason why is because I think maybe some of you didn't quite get the last message at the last solar eclipse in Taurus last November, right? Which I mentioned at the beginning of this video which was to take things slower, more stable, and more secure, and to really think about these things. So I think some of you maybe didn't fully get that message at that time, especially while Venus was retrograde, and I think we had Mercury retrograde all of January. So it's very possible that the reason why a lot of you are having to retool things here, and a fairly significant, for some of you, it might be significant, is because maybe you didn't do something right. You didn't get the message of the November eclipse, okay? And forgot about it when Venus was retrograde this year. If not that, another reason why some of you may now have to go retool that stuff from the beginning of this year is not only because you forgot about the stuff in that eclipse, but another reason why you might have to retool some of that stuff from earlier this year is because you've just grown since then, and because those experiences in between January, February, March, and April gave you a more exciting, optimistic feeling about life, which led to these realizations from spirit. Sometimes you don't know something until you know something, right? And sometimes having good things manifest that are new and different in our lives gives us a new energy, gives us a new perspective. That then shakes us up, that then makes us realize things we didn't realize before. So I think that's what I want to say. Part of the reason, and again, take what applies here, because it's going to be different for each of you. Part of the reason why some of you are having to retool things from earlier this year is because you still didn't get the message. You didn't receive the message that came. And another part of the reason, and I think it's probably a little bit of both, another part of the reason is because you needed these new things to manifest in January, February, March, and April in the crazy way that they did in order to help you feel different things, to shake up your energy, and to help you see something you didn't see before, and to help you grow, and to help you learn, which now you're learning from here, to adjust things as you move forward, and that is okay. That's okay. That's okay. No point in beating yourself up over that, because the past is the past, and now we got to move on. All right. All right, and I think that's all that is coming to me there. Yes, because that's it, I'm now just going to look very quickly at your inside degrees, because this video is already going kind of long. So let's do that. The inside degree here is for the new moons at 9 degrees Gemini. So we're going to look at that one. I've got it up on the screen. These inside degrees weren't written by me. They're written by another person named Elias Lonsdale, but I just want to show you the in degrees to get a different perspective on it. Look at this. Gemini 9 says, catching a second wind, taking a booster rocket from one cycle to another, one lifetime to another, one whole stage in evolution to another. Right? Coming out of immense soul experience with flying colors leaping forth into the new, enthusiastic, naive, and impressionable. Okay. So what does that mean to me? It means to me that we have learned a lot over the course of the past few months and years, especially from what Spirit's been telling us, and that now we're feeling more ready to embody this new way of life, which is slower, more stable, and more in alignment here with our values and with our needs. Okay. So I think there's a lot to be said there for Gemini. Gemini 9 is extremely positive. I think there's a lot to be said there here. We have learned a lot. We are growing. We are aligning with Spirit. Even though that's the case, though, I do want to take a quick look at Gemini 10 too, because Gemini 10 is interesting. It says this: blows of fate, acts of God, abrupt awakenings to what was suspected but naively denied. You become drastically aware of all that was hidden and jump to conclusions, the gathering of events to prove a point, to generate a change, to draw it all out. So what does that mean to me? It means to me, seeing these two opposite, right? They're kind of opposite degrees here. One's extremely positive, the other one's a little bit of a challenge. What that means to me is that we are getting at this new moon in Gemini, like extremely, I think, in touch with Spirit and a new way of life and the new way to do it, and aligned with Spirit and whatever Spirit wants us to do with relationships and money. But even though we are getting these awarenesses and alignment with Spirit, it could feel a little abrupt here, and we could surprise other people with it, especially other people who aren't in alignment with us any longer and with Spirit here, which can create, people jumping to conclusions here as well. All right, but if you cannot be afraid to hold true to what Spirit is telling you, something good is going to occur. Turnaround, setting yourself up for turnarounds. Okay. All right, I think that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, now let's pull your card for this time period. There we go. All right, your card for this time period. Wow. The Five of Swords upright. The Star reversed. Sorry. What I want to say, the Five of Swords is actually a card of conflict, and the Star is about not feeling like you're in the right place at the right time. And I really don't want to focus too much on the conflict, because I'm like, I really do think that whatever's going on, especially after the first quarter moon in Virgo, like very soon, is very positive and very helpful. And I do, again, I just can't say it enough. I do believe that this is like one of the best months of the year to do anything important you have to do. Not because this month is great, but because the other ones just suck more, to be honest. So I think that this is a good month to do anything you got to be doing. But I do feel that there could be some conflicts that some of you might get into with people who are not in alignment with Spirit and are not where they need to be. And I think I just have to stick to my same message with these cards. And my same message is that sometimes you need to get into a fight or risk having a fight in order to be in alignment with yourself, with God, with the divine, and in order for you to feel at peace with yourself and what's going on. Sometimes you have to do that, which I think is part of what the Mars and the Jupiter and Aries is all about, right? Like, Aries is a fighter. Aries is not afraid of a fight. Aries is not afraid of fight, and with Venus is in Taurus for its values. So, sometimes you can't be afraid of a fight, especially if it's something important to you. You got to do it, even if it's hard, because if you do it, you're going to learn a lot, you're going to grow a lot, and it's going to be the best thing, I think, for you. Because if you are scared of a fight, if you're scared of a fight and you say, I'm not going to align with God for me because I'm afraid this other person's going to get mad and turn me down and say no, and they're not going to like it. If you do that, you're going to feel off for more than this month, for a long time, And what would you rather have? Would you rather piss someone off temporarily so that you can feel, would you rather would you rather deal with the uncomfortable feeling of telling someone a hard truth temporarily? or deal with the uncomfortable feeling of not telling someone the truth of your soul and then living a lie, which will take longer. You know, like, do you see what I mean here? What would you prefer? Speaking your truth and it being uncomfortable and upsetting for a moment while you deal with that, or for a few days? Or would you prefer to hide your truth and then live a lie for months, for years, forever how long, until it gets worse enough that you need to end it? What would you rather do? I'd rather pull the Band-Aid off. I'd rather risk telling my truth now and risk having to fight in order for me to feel good about myself, and not just good about myself and in alignment with God and with my values and with my intuition, than live a lie and be in doubt and be in question and be in regret as time moves forward. Okay. You know, there are worse things in a fight. Matter of fact, with the Mars and Aries likes a fight. There are worse things in a fight. Not only there are a lot of worse things in a fight, because fights can be revealing in their own way. So I think that's the message that I want to leave you with. Don't hide your truth and shy away from it because you're scared of how someone else is going to respond. Be who you are, hold true to that, and deal with the temporary discomfort of that, because you're going to get bigger gifts later on after this point that are going to help. Okay, and I think that's all I have to say here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that you all make the best out of this that you can, and I will talk to you in the next video. If you like this one, please like my channel, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later.